Real-time transaction processing systems, point of sale. Now, point of sale systems process transactions within retails and services such as supermarkets, restaurants, and clubs. Stores can be of a variety of sizes, but generally the nature of the transactions being conducted by any of these systems, okay, specific to the retail system, remains similar for all point of sale systems. Okay, they all kind of doing the same thing no matter whether you are in a supermarket, a small store, a cafe, a restaurant, a club, whatever, the same kind of process is taking place with managing inventory and allowing customers to pay. So retail stores sell directly to customers and they purchase stock from suppliers. These two processes of purchasing and selling would be performed by all retailers and is present within the specific point of sale system. And that's what we're going to try and illustrate today. So here are the processes involved within a point of sale system. Okay, retailers sending suppliers a purchase order outlining the products they wish to order. The supplier sends an invoice to the retailer specifying the cost of their order, how much they need to pay the supplier in order to get more stock. The retailer then pays the invoice amount through sending their payment details. Then, once paid, the products, together with a delivery docket, are sent to the retailer from the supplier. Okay, so they can update their inventory then. And then, obviously, what the retailer's job is to sell these products to customers. And when they sell products to customers, they supply them with a receipt as proof of purchase. So, these are the elements that we're going to try to illustrate in our diagrams today for a point of sale system. So, firstly, is the form of context diagram. Here is our point of sale system. Now, in order to start off, we're going to start off from the customer purchasing items first, okay? So the customer makes payment via cash with products, and then they get a receipt for their transaction. But we've also got to wonder, how do the product's data get entered into the system? Well, the product itself is an external entity, and through their barcode, they enter data into the system. Okay, so just try to understand that. When you scan a product at a point of sale terminal, whether it be a self checkout or you've got an employee or staff member, they're doing this a scan, that's a primary key, and that primary key references data on the system, which then retrieves the price and other details about that product that you are purchasing. Okay, obviously the product doesn't get anything back from the system. It's merely its barcode that's getting that information and then presenting it on screen at the point of sale system. Okay, so they're the first two external entities. We've obviously mentioned another one being the supplier. Okay, remember when we run out of quantity of a specific product, a purchase order is sent to the supplier outlining that we need more stock. The supplier sends back an invoice saying how much that stock that the retailer wishes to purchase is going to cost. The retailer will then pay the supplier, and the supplier will send a delivery docket back along with the products that are ordered, okay, finalizing the actual purchasing of new products. Okay, so here is the context of the point of sale system that we're talking about. Let's now look at it within the obviously a data flow diagram. So we will start off with the customer. Now the customer could be manually scanning the products themselves to start off with. So I have linked this to the customer saying they're going to scan the items. So they are doing the scanning if it is a self-checkout terminal, which is very common these days. So that's why I've got them there. And that's something to remember too. These point of systems can be customer operated as opposed to employee operated. And places like Woolies, they've got both. Keep that in mind. But obviously, the actual data going into the system comes from the product's barcode through the product ID. Okay, the barcode is a product ID, which is obviously then going to reference the product's ID on the database, its primary key, and it will recall the product details and price for the specific product being scanned. Now, this is done multiple times for multiple products, and then obviously we need to then calculate the total of all the products that have been scanned. Once we have a total, the customer then needs to make their payment via cash or card. When they've entered their payment details, the financial data is used to process that transaction. The store's database needs to be updated with the transaction data, the payment that's taken place, and obviously decrease the product quantity after that sale because we need to keep an eye on product quantity so that we don't run out. Okay, so that needs to make sure that we are deducting it, okay, from the store's records every time a transaction takes place and a product is sold. On the customer end, they get their proof of purchase. The transaction details are printed onto a receipt, and that receipt is then given to the customer. All right, so that's all the customer side there. But as mentioned, we've got this decreasing quantity happen. And when quantity gets to a certain state, not necessarily zero, but like a low amount, we need to order more. So from the store database, we're going to retrieve the supplier details for the low stock item and perhaps a already generated product order, okay, which is used to order products, okay. There might be one set up for each product for specific suppliers that we always order the same amount when the stock gets low. Will be used to generate the purchase order, which is then going to be sent to the supplier. As said, the supplier is going to then send back an invoice, okay? And then the system needs to process that invoice, okay? They need to approve that invoice and then pay the supplier. In order to pay the supplier, once again, we need to get their details from the store's database, okay? Get the supplier's payment information. Once the approval is sent back from the supplier, that needs to be recorded onto the actual database. From here, the supplier will send the delivery docket. Okay, that will come with the specific delivery. The system needs to acknowledge the received delivery, and then with all the products that have been sent with the delivery, update all their records on the store's database. So the purchase order number that came along with the actual supplier's delivery, the specific product codes that have come through, so we can update their inventory, and as said, update the stock quantity, increase it, okay, so that we know once specifically how much stock we have on hand in our store. So I hope this has helped you understand the function of a point of sale system. Essentially that the elements of a customer purchasing products from a retailer, but then the other side that we don't see, okay, which is the store ordering products from a supplier. Okay, remember that a lot of these point of sale systems are user operated these days by a specific customer, which has completely changed the dynamic of how these systems work and essentially giving customer a lot of control over that. So these systems need to be very user friendly and support customers as they use the system so that a variety of different customers can use the system.